Ever get that feeling like you're building on shifting sand?
Yeah.
Trying to like build a house,
Yeah.
you know? And that's kind of what it feels like these days, trying to figure out the future, right?
Right.
Things are just changing so fast.
Yeah.
How do we even like plan? But what if we could actually design our way forward to a future that we want? That's what we're going to dive into today.
I like that a lot. That's where this whole idea of future-proofing comes in, right?
Okay.
And it's not about like predicting the future exactly. It's more about building the skills and strategies to be able to thrive.
Right.
No matter what comes our way.
So instead of like, becoming a fortune teller,
Yeah.
it's more about being like a chameleon, adapting to any environment.
Exactly. Like think of it like sailing.
Uh-huh.
You're out there on this boat and the wind is constantly changing. You can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails right. And you can learn how to navigate in those conditions. That's kind of the essence of this idea of future-proofing.
Okay. I like that. So how do we actually do that?
Well, one way is to use something called human-centered design.
Human-centered design.
You might be thinking like, oh, is that just about making things pretty?
Right. I was going to say that's just like design.
Yeah.
Like graphic design.
But it's much more than that.
Yeah.
It's about really putting people at the center of the decisions we're making.
Okay. I'm listening. How does that help with the future, though?
Well, it's all about understanding how people behave now.
Okay.
So that we can try to anticipate what they might need later on.
Oh.
Like imagine a city that's designed around self-driving cars.
Okay, yeah.
But it forgets about all the people who can't afford them or people who rely on public transportation.
Yeah.
That's where human-centered design comes in.
Okay.
It makes sure everyone is considered.
So it avoids those unintended consequences.
Right. When we only design for a small group of people. And so human-centered design gives us this lens for future-proofing.
Yeah.
But we need the right tools to be able to use it.
Okay, so what are the tools? How can I actually start to do this?
One really powerful technique is called foresight mapping.
Foresight mapping.
It's kind of like scanning the horizon, looking for all the signals of changes.
Okay.
Like, are there new technologies coming out? Are values changing as a society?
Right. So are more people going vegan?
Yeah. And once you've identified those trends, you can use something called scenario planning.
Okay.
And that's all about exploring the different possible futures based on those trends that we see. What if that trend towards veganism really takes off? What if lab-grown meat becomes a reality?
Okay.
And then you start to plan for all those possibilities.
So it's like having a roadmap with different routes.
Right. You've got your plan A, plan B, even a plan C.
All right.
So you're ready for whatever happens. And then there's something called speculative design.
Ooh, speculative design. Okay. Tell me more about that.
So that's where we get really creative. It's using design to explore those potential futures, even the ones that seem kind of out there.
Oh.
Like, there's this company called IDE. They're a global design firm.
Okay.
And they use this to imagine what the classroom of the future might look like.
So they're not just designing gadgets, they're trying to solve problems.
Exactly. Trying to challenge those assumptions about the future.
Right.
And open up new possibilities.
I'm starting to see how this all fits together now.
Yeah.
You got the foresight mapping to see those trends.
Yeah.
The scenario planning to think about the different possibilities.
Right.
And then the speculative design to kind of push the boundaries.
Exactly. And it's all part of this dynamic toolkit.
Okay.
For really navigating change and creating a future that we actually want to be a part of.
That's super fascinating. But sometimes I gotta admit, all this stuff sounds a little abstract. Do you have any concrete examples of how these tools are being used?
Yeah. A great example is how some cities are using this to plan for climate change.
Okay.
Which is a challenge a lot of places are facing right now. They might use foresight mapping to look at trends like rising sea levels.
Okay.
Or increasing temperatures.
So they're not just thinking about what's happening right now.
Yeah.
They're thinking about how it's going to continue to change.
Exactly. And then they're using scenario planning to explore those different possible futures.
Okay.
So what happens if sea levels rise by 2 feet? What if major storms become twice as frequent?
Oh.
They start to think about these things and then plan accordingly.
So instead of just hoping for the best,
Yeah.
they're actually planning for those worst-case scenarios.
Exactly.
Which is probably a good idea when we're talking about climate change.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where speculative design can come in.
Okay.
They might even create visualizations or prototypes of what a city could look like in the future under these different climate scenarios.
And that helps people actually get involved.
Yeah, envisioning the future.
So it's not just technical solutions, it's getting people to talk.
Exactly. It's a collaborative process.
So I see how all the pieces fit together now. We've got the human-centered design, we've got these tools, and then it's about working together.
Yeah.
It's like we're building this framework to create a future that is, not just resilient, but also one that we want.
Exactly. And that's what future-proofing is all about.
Yeah.
It's empowering ourselves to create a future that aligns with what we value.
This is awesome. But before we move on, I want to make sure we actually connect this back to our listener.
Okay.
You've given us some really good examples of, cities and organizations using these tools.
Yeah.
But how can, a regular person, like someone sitting at home listening to this, actually start to do this in their own life?
Yeah, that's a great question. Future-proofing isn't just for big organizations.
Okay.
It's for everyone. And believe it or not, you're probably already doing some of it without even realizing it.
Really?
Yeah. Think about it this way.
Okay.
When you decide to learn a new skill, you're basically future-proofing yourself. You're making yourself more adaptable.
That's true. I never thought about it like that. When I learned graphic design, I was kind of future-proofing myself for this whole creator economy thing.
Exactly. Or when you invest in your health, you're thinking about the future.
Yeah, so it's not just about my career or money. It's also about taking care of myself.
It's about having a more holistic approach.
Okay, I can see how this applies to my life.
Yeah.
But what are some examples of future-proofing that I'm doing without even realizing it?
Well, think about the last time you decided to buy a more energy-efficient appliance. Or, you bike to work instead of driving.
Right.
Those are those little decisions that make a big difference for the future.
So even small things can have a ripple effect.
Exactly. And think about your relationships, the friends, the family, the colleagues that you have.
Yeah.
That's a powerful form of future-proofing.
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It's about those connections that can help you when things change.
Okay, so we've got those everyday actions and then the people that we surround ourselves with.
Yeah.
But how can we use those, bigger tools, the foresight mapping and the scenario planning in my own life?
Well, remember, foresight mapping is about looking for those trends.
Okay.
What skills might be in high demand in the future? What lifestyle changes are coming?
So it's about actively looking for this information.
Right.
Instead of just letting it come to me.
Exactly. And then scenario planning.
Okay.
What if your job becomes automated?
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
What if you decide to start a family?
Right.
What if you move to a new city?
Okay.
Start planning for those things now.
So I can kind of get ahead of it.
Right. Instead of it being a surprise.
That feels a lot better, I gotta admit.
Yeah. It's about taking control.
Okay.
And remember, continuous learning is so important.
That's a hard one for me.
It can be. There's so much information out there these days.
Yeah, it feels like I'm always behind.
But the key is to be intentional. What skills do you actually want to develop?
Okay.
What knowledge gaps do you need to fill?
So it's about having a reason to learn.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to try new things.
Oh.
Online courses, podcasts, books, workshops.
Yeah.
See what works for you.
That's a good point. It's about making it, personalizing it.
Exactly.
But I gotta say,
yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to find the time or the energy to do all of this.
Future-proofing takes effort.
Yeah.
But it's worth it. Think of it as an investment in your future.
I like that. I'm more likely to do something if I think it's valuable.
Right.
But beyond the practical stuff, like getting a better job or having more money.
Yeah.
Are there any other benefits to future-proofing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's not just about the skills or the planning. It's about your mindset.
Okay. Tell me more about that.
When you start to think about future-proofing, you start to see challenges as opportunities. You become more comfortable with uncertainty, and you're more confident in your ability to deal with change.
So it's not about getting rid of fear. Yeah. It's about changing how I think about it.
Exactly. You develop this growth mindset. You start to believe that you can learn and adapt to whatever comes your way.
I can see how that would make me more resilient.
Exactly. And that resilience can affect your whole life.
Okay.
Your relationships, your work, your well-being.
This is making a lot of sense. It's like future-proofing is a way of life.
Yeah.
That not only prepares me for the future, but also helps me now.
You got it.
Yeah.
And as the world gets more complex and things change faster and faster, this mindset is going to become even more important.
This has been so insightful. It's way more than just, tools and techniques.
Yeah.
It's really a way of being.
Exact.
That helps me create a future that is fulfilling and sustainable.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And as we move into the final part,
okay,
I want you to keep that in mind. It's not just about surviving.
Yeah.
It's about thriving.
All right, we're back for the final part of our deep dive into future-proofing.
Yeah.
We've talked about the tools, the mindset, and how to actually apply all this stuff to your life.
Uh-huh.
But there's one more piece to this puzzle.
And that's that it's a collective effort.
Okay.
It's not just about what you do as an individual.
Right.
It's about communities and organizations and society all working together.
I like that. It's easy to just focus on myself.
Yeah.
But we're all connected, right?
Right.
What I do affects everyone else.
Exactly. Like, think about a garden.
Okay.
You can tend to your little plot, but if the overall environment isn't healthy, your plants aren't going to do well.
That's a good point.
So future-proofing is about creating that healthy ecosystem where everyone can do well.
Okay. So how do we move from, like, what I do personally to doing things together?
Well, one way is to just start having conversations about the future that we want.
Oh.
What are our values?
Right.
What are the challenges that we need to face together?
So having, like, real conversations, not just about, the weather.
Exactly. And those conversations can lead to action. Like, communities might come together to figure out transportation.
Okay.
Or they might create a community garden so that they have food security.
So it's about moving from talking to doing.
Exactly. And organizations can get involved too.
Okay.
They can think about future-proofing when they're making decisions.
So it's not just about making money.
Yeah.
It's about their impact.
Exactly. It's about being responsible and making sure that everyone benefits.
This is so inspiring. Future-proofing can actually create change.
It can.
Not just for me, but for everyone.
And as we wrap up,
I
want to leave you with this. The future is not something that just happens to us.
Okay.
It's something we create.
I like that.
Through the choices we make.
Yeah.
And our actions.
Okay.
And our commitment to making the world a better place.
That's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into future-proofing. We hope you've learned a lot and that you're inspired to go create your own future.
Yes.
And contribute to a brighter future for all of us.
Like when you learn a new skill.
Yeah.
You're making yourself more adaptable,
Yeah.
more valuable in the job market.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I guess I never thought of it like that. Like when I decided to learn graphic design a couple years ago, I was kind of future-proofing myself.
Yeah.
For this whole creator economy that's happening now.
Exactly. Or when you invest in your health and well-being.
Right.
You're future-proofing your body and your mind for the future.
So it's not just about career and money. It's also about being healthy.
Right.
So I can actually enjoy all of that future success.
Yeah, it's about like a holistic approach to life.
Okay. I'm starting to get it. But you mentioned we might already be doing this without realizing it.
Yeah.
What are some examples of that?
Well, think about like the last time you switched to a more energy efficient appliance.
Okay.
Or you biked to work instead of driving.
Right.
Those are like small decisions.
Yeah.
But they can make a big difference in the long run.
So even those small choices can help make a more, resilient, sustainable future.
Exactly. And think about the people you surround yourself with, like your friends, your family, your colleagues. Those relationships are a powerful form of future-proofing.
It's like they say, it's not what you know, it's who you know. But maybe in this case, it's more like, who knows what you know?
Exactly. It's about like cultivating those relationships so that they can help you when things change.
Yeah. Okay, so we've got those like everyday things we can do and then the people we know.
Yeah.
But what about those like more strategic tools? Like the foresight mapping and the scenario planning?
Right.
Can I use those in my own life?
You can. Foresight mapping, remember, is about looking for those signals of change.
Right.
So think about your industry, your community, your hobbies even.
Okay.
What skills are going to be important in the future? What lifestyle changes might be coming?
So I should be looking for that information.
Yeah.
Instead of just waiting for it to show up.
Exactly. And then you've got scenario planning.
Right.
What if your job gets automated? What if you want to start a family?
Yeah, good point.
What if you move to a new city? Start thinking about these things now.
So I can get ahead of it instead of being surprised.
Exactly. It's about taking control.
Yeah, that feels a lot better. And then there's continuous learning.
Continuous learning is huge.
That's a tough one. There's just so much information out there.
Yeah, there is. But try to be strategic about it.
Yeah.
What do you really want to learn?
Okay.
What are those gaps in your knowledge?
So I need to have like a reason to learn.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment.
Right.
Online courses, podcasts, books, workshops. See what works for you.
I like that it's about finding what works for me and, making it my own.
Exactly. But I know what you mean.
Mm.
Sometimes it's hard to find the time or the energy to do all this.
Yeah, it is.
But future-proofing, it does take effort,
Right.
but the rewards are worth it.
Mm.
Think of it as like an investment in yourself.
That's a good way to look at it. It makes me feel like it's more valuable.
Right.
But beyond like the practical benefits, the money and stuff.
Yeah.
Are there other benefits to future-proofing?
Absolutely.
Mm.
It's not just about the skills and the plans.
Okay.
It's about your mindset.
Oh, okay. Tell me more about that.
When you start to think about future-proofing,
Yeah.
you start to see those challenges as opportunity. You're not so afraid of uncertainty.
Right.
And you're more confident in your ability to adapt to change.
So it's not about, getting rid of the fear.
Yeah.
That's about like changing how I think about it.
Exactly. It's about developing that growth mindset, believing you can learn and adapt
Right.
to whatever comes up.
That makes me feel more resilient.
Exactly. And that can affect your relationships, your work, your well-being,
Wow.
everything.
So it's like future-proofing is a way of life that helps me prepare for the future,
Yeah.
but also like be better now.
You got it.
Right.
And, as the world keeps changing faster and faster,
Right.
that mindset's going to become even more important.
I love that. It's so insightful. It's way more than just like tools and techniques. It's like a way of being
Exactly.
that helps me create a fulfilling and sustainable future.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And as we go into that last part of our deep dive,
Okay.
keep that in mind. It's not just about surviving.
Right.
It's about thriving.
It's about thriving, right?
Yes, it's about thriving.
Okay, so we're back for this last part of our deep dive into future-proofing.
Okay.
We've talked about the tools and the mindset and you know how to apply this stuff to your own life, but there's one more piece to this whole thing, right?
There is. It's like thinking about it as a collective effort.
Oh, okay.
It's not just you
Right.
doing it on your own.
Yeah.
It's, communities, organizations,
Right.
society as a whole working together.
It is easy to just focus on myself, but like we said before,
Right.
we are all connected.
We are. What you do affects other people, and what they do affects you.
It's like that garden analogy again.
Right. You can take care of your own little area,
Yeah.
but if the whole environment isn't healthy,
Right.
nothing's going to grow.
So future-proofing is really about creating a healthy ecosystem for everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we go from, me doing my own thing to us doing it together?
I think one way is to start talking about the future that we want,
Yeah.
What are our values?
Okay.
What are the big challenges we have to face together?
So we need to have deeper conversations.
Exactly. Not just, small talk.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
those conversations can lead to action.
Oh.
Like communities can come together to plan transportation or, start a community garden.
So we have to move from talking about it
Yeah.
to actually doing something.
Doing something together.
And what about organizations? What can they do?
Organizations, they can really make a difference
Yeah.
by thinking about future-proofing in every decision they make.
Okay.
Like they can invest in training their employees, they can make their business more sustainable,
Yeah.
and they can support things happening in their communities.
So it's not just about profits.
Right.
It's about making a positive impact.
Exactly. It's about being responsible.
This is so inspiring. Future-proofing isn't just about, surviving the future.
Yeah.
It's about making the future better for everyone.
It really is. And as we finish up here, I want to leave you with this.
Okay.
The future isn't something that just happens to us.
Right.
It's something we create
Yeah.
through the choices we make, the actions we take,
Uh-huh.
and our commitment to building a better world.
I love that. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into future-proofing. We hope you've learned some valuable stuff
Yeah,
and that you feel inspired to go create your own future-proof journey
absolutely.
and to help create a brighter future for all of us.